You're listening to an Accent Productions podcast.
Warning: Moody&D may contain descriptions of violence, blood, death, and similar concepts. Additionally, not every action taken by our players is morally endorsed or supported by Moody&D. That being said, let's get on with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Moody&D, specifically Gone Rogue. This is our talkback show where we go over all the things that we did and all the mistakes we made and
mistakes y'all
pull
made.
the muscle in your back on camera.
What happened?
And my chair just bounced back at me. Oh,
Amazing.
guys,
okay.
it's like the first week of the semester. We're falling apart already.
I'm
It's
fine.
week 2.
So,
See?
Last week.
That was
rough. So,
today we are going to be talking through episodes, I think it's 45 through 49?
59?
45,
Not 59.
45 through 49.
45 through 49. Next episode of Gone Rogue, we'll be talking through what's left.
Got it. Okay,
Of
I was
Arc
like, wow,
4.
I over-prepared.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to start with episodes 45 and 49. We're going to kick things off starting with the vignette, but first, we're going to roll initiative to see who asks
Yeah, with my dice that I brought today.
questions. Natural 20!
I got a natural 19.
7.
11.
Okay, so this is harder than when there were only 4 of us.
3,
So,
4, 5. It's like a
da,
star.
da.
Yeah, almost
Yes.
a star.
So
doesn't
basically,
end.
just start with me and then go clockwise or with you guys.
Yes.
Let's do the 1, 2, 3 thing on.
Oh,
the
yeah,
dice.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
4.
I'm
First.
2.
Whoa, I'm 7th.
Reese will die if he has to keep his thing on Nat 1 for too long.
I will explode. That is a
If Reese
that's
leaves
a
his dice
mathematical fact.
on Nat 1,
So
it
I
will...
need to roll less than a nat 20 for the next time we record Gone Rogue, because otherwise I will blow up.
Well,
All
Why
right.
don't you put it on 20?
I mean,
And
I
then you
feel
go
like
20th.
that's definitely good content.
Hey, everything is content.
You just turn that right into just a real.
warning, Reese is gonna.
I'm gonna loop that one
There's
too.
gonna be.
just turn it into clickbait. DM explodes on D&D show.
Okay, we need when we start doing the animation stuff. If we ever, whatever they're called.
Whatever. We're not doing animatics for this show.
Oh, we're not.
No,
never
I don't
mind.
think we are.
Yeah.
Sad day. It would be kind of funny to do an animatic. of
All
that.
right.
We don't need to. We'll have
So,
a live file.
So we're going
Welcome
to be
to the
talking.
chaos, everybody.
We're going to be talking
Rose
right
is
now
great
about
with
what I
maps.
call the aftermath, which is what the 3 episodes that I have
what's
called vignettes, which are just the episodes that are named Audra, Brand, and Klaus, and then the 2 episodes following. So I'm going to kick things off with a
nothing
question
happened,
for
really.
all 3 of you. What was it like adapting in real time to playing as a character in a dream who both does and does not know things they know? Because I kind of really put you guys on the spot, and there was a lot of like,
So
you don't know that. You do know that. Yeah, you don't know that. You have all your abilities from the future, but this is the past. Like, there were
It
a
was
lot of things like that.
weird.
Talk me through. We'll start with you, because you rolled the highest on initiative
Hey, yeah.
out of the 3.
I was just confused on that part, so I tried to
Oh, really?
not.
Because I think
play-
you played it better than most everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, or you picked up on it the quickest.
Yeah,
rather.
I think I was like, I'm just gonna go, and I figured if I didn't know something, you would just tell me. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I wasn't gonna think about it too hard because otherwise I would have
Yeah.
freaked
No.
out. That's me. I was confused.
I mean, yeah, I was confused. I know there was a moment where I had said or done something that was based on knowledge that I didn't have.
Yep.
And that was
Several times,
Several
actually.
times, actually. But there was one specific one. I forget exactly what the circumstances were.
Yeah.
But that one stuck out to me of like, oh, this feels weird. And then we had to backtrack some stuff. And yeah, it was a weird feeling of not knowing exactly what my character knew. It was fun,
Yeah.
though.
Yep. I mean, to me, it's not. It wasn't weird necessarily.
Interesting.
Because I mean, to all the viewers and all of this and all of the people in the room, they already know I don't sleep much.
That's true.
And so
Yeah.
when I do sleep, my sleep is very spotty, and it very often happens that I will wake up, but then I won't, but then I will, but then I won't, and it just
Some
there
of us
are
used
moments
to-
in my life where I will wake up and I'm like, wait, did this really happen? And so I'm walking around the entire day with this knowledge that I actually don't have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I was just describing your own sleep patterns.
You were just-
results to you.
So yeah, I don't remember struggling with it because you were like, you have a hinge in the back of your mind, and I'm like, checks out.
Makes
You're like,
I
this
do.
sounds like real life. So that's great.
actually so concerning.
So that's actually something that happened. Christian started DMing a game, and there was literally, so I've got a neurological disability that affects my vision. There was a point where I was like, what am I seeing right now? Because he was describing like very disorienting things, and he was like, it's just Reese vision. I was like, oh no.
It's great when you
great.
know these kinds of things about
Yeah.
people, and you could just kind of, you don't have to explain, just say, yeah, you see the world in threes.
That it's a really interesting thing to realize. All of a sudden, I realized that I use D&D to actually see the world normally. When he was like, "You see
like,
everything in Reese vision," I'm like, "Oh no, none of my characters have ever done that. This is a problem."
It was really funny.
That was
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my question.
Awesome.
Rofumaku.
I'm gonna start. Okay, question. Because I have a question for.
Rose was cursed with the bad chairs. She got it.
She deserves it. It's the rite of passage.
It is. Sorry.
We've all sat at it.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I was like, so many things were happening. All of a sudden, I'm like getting texts from people, and I was like, what is going on?
You're
That's
good.
why you put your phone on Do Not Disturb when you're recording things.
Oh, I forget. That's an option.
Mine's
It's
on
on
Do Not
silent,
Disturb.
but anyways, if I have a question for the class one and a question for the brand one, do I do them separate or do I?
We'll go around
Okay.
because this whole thing, I imagine we're going to spend a lot of time talking about the vignettes with this.
Perfect. Okay.
So just pick whichever one you're more curious about right now, and neither of you get offended when she doesn't pick yours.
I will get offended.
I'm a
Okay.
very easily offended person.
Ooh. Okay. I think I like this question. And it can go mostly to Christian because it was your character of Klaus, but if everyone else wants to insert, I'm also interested. But I said, let's see. Klaus pushes back at the thought that the chest might hold too much power, and he finally approaches it. Do you ever think about that, like you as Christian? Do you know where your power threshold lies? And do you believe the statement of like absolute power corrupts? So essentially, like, yeah, what are your thoughts?
Walk us through
Holy
what
cow.
Klaus was thinking
Okay.
during that moment.
Yeah.
It was like that whole thing happened very early in the actual vignette.
Yeah.
So it was kind of tough. It was kind of tough for me to. I wasn't fully in character yet.
Yeah.
So the thought process that I basically had was, well, Klaus is delusional. If you tell me that it feels like it's too much power, but it's not necessarily a conscious thought that I'm having, I'm pushing that back.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as too much power. Power is all that I want. Power is all that I can have. And so for him, that's why he was incinerating everything that he was finding inside, because he was promised power.
Yep.
But all he was getting were these useless things.
Yeah, and that was even, we clipped that as one of our shorts or TikToks, was this, I've been opening these chests and all I'm getting is children's toys. And I knew when I introduced that concept, I was like, this is not something Klaus will ever think. That was something that I did a lot of character study on you guys to try and be able to actually figure out, okay, what are the spaces where I can actually do a little predictive thinking for what their subconscious mind will be doing? And there was a lot of that with Klaus where I was like, I realized listening back, I was like, there were a couple things where I was just queuing up thoughts, probably more than I should have as the DM.
I mean, sometimes that's the job of the DM.
Yeah. But just that was something when I said it, I was like, Klaus will immediately push that back, but I want you to actually say it.
Yeah.
Because that is very much something that's like an anti-Klaus thought process. It's like, no, power is power, and I want power.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can't accomplish what I'm set out to accomplish without power.
right, precisely.
But it was sorry. We'll get to that later. So I don't know if anybody else wants to jump in on this. For me personally, I do believe that ultimate power corrupts, and I think that there's a lot of case studies, especially nowadays, that show the truthfulness of the statement.
Yeah.
I think that only a benevolent being can hold all the power. Thus, God can only be the only person, the only being that can hold that power. I believe that humanity's corrupt.
Oh.
And so we are bad. And so
No.
giving
Not an expressed opinion of Moody&D that humans aren't naturally corrupt, by
No,
the way.
that's-
Just
wait. My thoughts and opinions do not reflect the
no, I'm talking about Rose denying
I was gonna say your thoughts and opinions do reflect
You said
Moody
a
and,
great
and
thing.
Moody.
so
So do you feel like you know where your personal threshold for power lies?
depends on what you understand as power.
Okay.
Because in Klaus's mind, it's authority. In Klaus's mind, it's dominance.
Yeah.
In my mind, power lies in a lot of different things, and it's very the older I get, the more I look at life, the more I'm realizing that true power is spread out across so many different things, and we, as especially in the West, we value such minute little things. Like we put so much power into little things, and we discard the rest. And me personally, I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. I'm a very curious person. But is there a threshold? Probably not. I haven't found it yet. But I've also not been presented with that much power.
Yeah.
Whatever that word means, right? So,
How old are you?
26.
Wow.
So
all right, I'm going to leave the room now.
He's ancient. He's ancient.
There's
How
the exit. I'll see myself out.
1 foot in the grave.
I mean, I do
Just
have.
like Bran.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say just at one point in the class we were talking about sin and its effect on people and all this other stuff, and the prof said sin is always stronger than the isolated one, kind of thing. I think it's the same way with power. I think if you're not accountable to somebody, power's always gonna mess with you.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it in pastors, other church leaders, politicians, businessmen.
Klaus.
Klaus.
Klaus never did anything wrong.
Power.
I hate that that's your mantra. Again, not the express
No,
opinion of Moody
we don't
and D or
like
any of
Klaus.
his cast
Keep
members
going,
except
Ken.
for that one.
Keep going.
Yeah, but in those people, we find that like if they were accountable to people, they're not making these types of mistakes, and if they're getting caught so much earlier that it's usually barely anything, right? They're beginning to make those mistakes.
Accountability is a scam.
Not the expressed opinion of Moody and
Well,
D.
I
What
will
the
also agree with Christian that
I'm
the Western version of accountability is kind of lame.
Yeah.
It doesn't involve communal living, like this idea of being together, specifically with Christians being the body of Christ, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of, we check on each other every now and then, and it's, it's a pretty weak view of what accountability should be compared to what it has been in like
And it's so easy to lie to people.
right, exactly.
Self-reporting accountability.
It's kind of like the true accountability is opening yourself up completely to people, and then just like letting them comb through your life.
Which is what we're called to do.
Which is what we're called to do, right? James 3 says, confess your sins and that sort of thing. That's not talking about some. That's saying everything is. That's James 1 or 2.
I don't.
It's in James.
Yeah.
I'm a
a
biblical
music
studies
student.
major, everybody.
Bible student right here.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I think like that's the big thing is it will always corrupt you if you don't have people around you who are telling you to stop.
And to that point, like I think what really drives that home is where you start to get into the questionable levels of power is where you no longer have, like, where other people don't have the capacity to keep you accountable because you have so much power.
Right. At that point, like
That's
you're
where
too
you start to
dangerous.
run, where it's like nobody's going to say anything to you because you have that much power over them. Then you start to run into major issues. And that's where self-leading is absolutely necessary because, like, even if you look at business structures, at the top is a place where there's almost, you have no accountability except for that which you choose to inflict upon yourself or choose to enforce upon yourself.
Accountability has to come from a space of equality or from authority. That's why I believe as Christians we're always accountable to God because He is the ultimate authority. There's nobody who can be higher than Him.
Right.
Because like you said, it's very easy to like if I am above you and I'm supposed to be accountable, you're supposed to be my accountability person. You have nothing on me.
Right.
I have everything on you.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Like Brendan Lee Mulligan said, in order for someone to reach down a hand to you, you have to be beneath them.
You're quoting Calamity.
I am quoting
Oh,
Calamity.
that was
Wow.
such a.
I haven't
That's
seen it yet.
amazing.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
it's a phenomenal quote. It's really good.
It is a really good quote.
Good series.
Amazing series. Yeah. I was
Not a sponsor.
No. Sadly.
love to. Wouldn't it be awesome
Thank you.
if we got sponsored by Critical Role and not the other way?
That would be great.
I love the dream.
Will never happen.
I love the dream.
never happen.
Ever happen.
Brendan Lee
Not
Mulligan, if you're hearing us, please.
He's
We
not
love
even,
you.
He's not
I
even.
don't care. I just want to meet Brendan Lee Mulligan.
Honestly, fair.
Yes.
Fair.
Sorry.
Sorry, you're seeing us nerd about like a king of the
Also,
D&D
we cannot endorse everything that Brendan Lee Mulligan nor does, nor can Moody support. Yada 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 yada. Continue on, Rose.
All the things.
We are
All the
not
things.
Moody.
All the things. All right.
Girl, I got nothing to say. I don't even know who that is.
Should we move to
Yeah, we're
next
talking
question?
about power.
Yes,
Let's
yeah.
move to the next question.
Okay.
Okay, so Kent.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna be flat out honest with everybody. I did not prepare for this as much as I should have, but
And he means
He didn't
not at all.
prepare at all.
pretty much. I
was
have some
listening
generic ideas. I'm more prepared for the next episode of Gone Rogue, but
So in 40 minutes.
yes. Anyways, I do have to ask because it was weird for me. What was it like for you guys to play solo with a DM? Like I've never done that before. So like, what was that kind of dynamic like? How did that change your play style? That sort of thing.
I also want to hear that answer from you.
Okay, cool. I will after they're done.
I honestly enjoyed it.
Nobody else can talk but me and her. Like,
Well, yeah, it was one of those of like, I got to play the character of Audra and not worry about being collaborative.
yeah.
And I think that a big fear that I have just in life in general is that I will overtalk or I will
Steamroll.
Yeah. And so a lot of times when we're playing, it's like if I start to say something and I get interrupted, I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna like leave it.
Yeah.
Or like I'll hesitate on like, should I say, should I do? I don't know. I have this idea, but I also want to let people have their moments or like they're going through their own character development. And so I want to make sure that that happens.
Yeah.
So in this, I was like, I just get to really dive in. And it was, And I also enjoyed seeing, things that you'd written for your character kind of come to life or like, when Korth, her uncle, showed up, like the minute you did the voice, I was like, I know who that is.
It was one
and
of
I
my,
didn't even
it was
know.
one of my favorite things about your vignette. Every voice you heard, you identified before I even gave it
Yeah.
the description.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that
was the
cool.
coolest thing. That's literally one of my notes. It's just you every single time. I was like, I don't even have to clarify these things.
Yeah.
You know who I am before I introduce them.
Yeah. And so that, like, I think that was fun. And then it's, just to be able to like play your character without it being manipulated or like forced by other people's actions.
Yeah.
So I personally enjoyed it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a lot less to react to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I had a bit of a love-hate relationship with the vignette because just because of the nature of who I am and the nature of Klaus, I don't like saying things overtly. I enjoy sub-themes and subtlety, and the vignette kind of scared me because it was a deep dive on the character of Klaus, and I was like, I don't want things to be said.
Which is, like, you'll even clock throughout his vignette, I give a lot of opportunities for him to just halt the train.
Yeah.
Because I knew that wasn't something you wanted to super get into.
And the one thing was also, he never clarified that we had a safe word. Like
I could have sworn it.
we clarified
No,
the
you
word,
didn't.
but you never explained what it was for.
Yeah.
I'm bad at this.
No, you were fine, but that is one thing that I did want to say. Reese did a phenomenal job of like giving space, of creating a environment where storytelling was storytelling, and it wasn't something forced. It was very natural, because there were plenty of moments where I could have just said, "No, I leave it," and we could have ended the episode 15 minutes in. But there was like this push and pull between the two of us, which I really enjoyed. Where both of us knew what we wanted to do, and both of us were kind of trying to bring a story about, and that's exactly what D&D is about. So I love
collaborative tug of war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I love it. I think we were at the right time to do it. I think that if we had done it any time sooner, anything like this, it would have fallen through. Because we didn't know each other super well. We didn't know each other's characters as well. And so...
Well, and even like prior to all those episodes, I did a lot of like just character recap with a couple of you guys, like especially Klaus, because Klaus was like one of those characters, like your backstory was the first arc.
Yeah.
Your backstory, we had a lot of time to prep because there was like an on-ramp for you to the show. Whereas Klaus and Ima, like again, Ima's was also arc 1. That was his backstory. Klaus was really the only one who came in with like a full-fledged backstory that we hadn't really touched in years because it just wasn't relevant to what we were doing anymore. And so there was a moment where I was like, okay, let's reflesh some of this stuff out so that I can actually have an accurate understanding.
We sat
of how
down
to do
and I
this
think we
movie.
talked for like 2 hours.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
So
just a bunch of notes of like, okay, these are all the things that Klaus knows. These are the things that I get to play with and the things that we get to interact with.
yeah, and there's also just a lot of things that Klaus didn't know.
Yes. Yeah, that came to light during that episode.
Yep. So I enjoyed it. It's not my preferred way of play.
Yeah.
One-on-one. I
Yeah, that's
enjoy.
understandable. I certainly think it's more of a like, this is a special thing we'll do once or twice.
Yeah.
You know, not a like, and every single campaign we're going to do one-on-ones at right about the halfway point.
Yeah.
They literally came about because we had a scheduling conflict, and I was like, how can we make less episodes into more episodes?
Yep.
And he figured out a way.
And it was
welcome,
awesome,
folks.
I think.
It was really good.
Then your answer.
I would say it was a lot of fun. It was definitely at the time Reese and I were roommates, and so it felt kind of normal. We were like, conversations like this would happen
That's
about
true.
various different things.
There were a number of times when we were rooming together where you'd just ask a question, I'd jump into RP.
Oh, absolutely. So, like, it would happen. Actually, there were several times where I would literally ask a question about the podcast. He would go into DM mode and then make me roll for it. It was quite annoying.
Players, if you have questions outside of game, ask them to me. There's not a I will make you roll. I'm so used to digital like Dungeons and Dragons. My DM and I will fully like out of game do like weeks of time where it's because I have characters that don't need to sleep, and so I'm like, well, let's not do this in session.
Yeah.
So I've done so much digital D&D that like, if you guys have questions, text them. I know how to DM over text as well.
Funny.
So, anyways, that was a lot of fun. And then also, as Reese said, like, there was such an on-ramp for me coming on because I was planning Bran from like late October, early
We saw
November.
a lot of iterations of Bran before you actually hit.
Oh, 100%. Bran started out as a blind monk, and we got to Hexblade Warlock Sorcerer,
Love it.
mess of things with Tor. It was a whole big thing. But we had such a long on-ramp that, like, I still have where it's the original note from the conversation that Reese and I had setting up Bran's backstory, and I had to flip back there for the first time in so long, and that was kind of fun.
Yeah, because you ran
Just
into Eodon Valoris.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I had to flip back through, and that was a lot of fun. So it was really interesting, but it didn't feel too weird compared to just the fact that we were talking all the time, anyways.
Yep. I did listen to all the episodes, most of the episodes. Well, all of the episodes, really.
Went from some to most to all.
Because I score all the episodes.
That's true, you did.
So I've been listening to them for the past week. I just
Except
didn't have.
I scored those episodes.
So the vignettes I had to listen to in full, and I also listened to the Klaus one because I didn't really remember what we were doing.
Real. It's a weird liminal space that was those
Yeah. But I didn't write it down in questions. I do have a couple of notes that I wanted to give. The first one, again, Reese, I am blown away with your DMing skills as always. You two, I don't know if you guys noticed, I didn't have any conversation in my entire vignette because I hate improvising conversations. And I was also blown away at your guys' ability to kind of make those conversations happen and go with the flow of the vignettes. Phenomenal. And I had a question for you, Prof. Mac.
Yeah.
How did you feel with that kind of reoccurring theme that was happening throughout your entire vignette with like, because yours
Which
was...
one? Because she had a lot that developed. Like,
Yeah.
it was interesting also, this is just a side note.
Yeah.
Interesting developing, like, improvisational themes. Like, the dagger
Yeah.
became a symbol,
Yeah.
and it was not at all when we started. There was no pre-talk about that, and it became a symbol throughout.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at is your vignette definitely felt the most like a dream because it was this flashing back and forth between all these different peoples and all these different memories and scenarios. How did you feel? Was it something that you really enjoyed? Like, give us some thoughts behind the character
Yeah.
and the moment.
I really enjoyed that. I think some of it was my confusion, so you kind of just like cling on to what is
whatever's immediately there.
right. And I think similar, I don't know about you guys, but it's like I've had a couple times where I will like have a dream and then I'll wake up and then I'll fall back asleep and have a different dream, but it's like
Similar.
It's
Still-
in the same world.
right.
Yeah.
Or it's like dealing with what I was feeling or going through in the first dream,
Yeah,
but it's a
mirrored
different
concept.
scenario.
Yeah.
And so that kind of felt natural of like every time she wakes up, it started with the same question. And then there was like, it kind of prompted the same thing. And then I think part of my confusion of like, there's something nagging at the back of your brain. I was like, is this DM speak of like something I'm supposed to pick up on that I'm not? But I was just like, I don't know. I'm going to go with it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, all of you got that.
Yeah.
At some point, especially you two. You didn't get it quite as much because yours was a lot of like discovery.
Yeah.
A lot of yours was rediscovery.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of, and that wasn't me like being like, there's this thing you should know. It was like, no, there is actually something that I will tell you. But like with you especially, and both of you, it was like this, but I need you to confirm that you want to know it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know if that answers your question.
It kind of. I was just curious, just generally how you felt about it.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it. It was one of like, I think the actor side of me loved it so much. Like, I know the cameras weren't working, but I cried. Like, especially like towards the end. Yeah. And so, but it was like, it wasn't me, Rachel, crying. It was like, I was like feeling all of the things. Of like Audra and just like this. And again, like, a lot of these characters are reminiscent of ourselves. And so like that is a journey I've had to go through on my own. And it's like a continual relearning or retrusting that like you are enough, and not in like a worldly sense of like you're enough and you're perfect, but like the Lord made you a certain way and that is enough. And the fact that you're made in the image of God makes you worthy of love and respect, and like that. Yeah. If that,
what I really liked about that whole thing with the half dagger was, it wasn't like the theme wasn't, oh, you have to go and look for the other half of the dagger. No, this dagger was made this way, and it is this way for a purpose.
Yeah.
And you can still, it's still enough, right?
And even like going through the point of like, also like the way I framed it was the dagger was made whole.
Yeah.
Someone else did this.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't the original intention and it wasn't the original way it was made, but someone else influenced it. But the dagger was made with an original intention. And like, I think that harkened back, and like, I was really, especially towards the end, like I clocked, it took a couple repetitions for me to clock that you were using that as a symbol.
Yeah.
But the second you started using that as a symbol, I was like, okay, I know what we're talking about. And specifically, like, I thought it was actually a really good mirror, because there are definitely things that can happen in our lives people will interact with who will make us feel like we are less than enough.
Yeah.
When in reality, that is not how we were made. That someone else came along and tried to change it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And extra attack question. Rose.
Ooh.
Okay.
How did you feel kind of getting a closer look at these characters that you didn't really know? And would you, I don't, like, I'm going to ask it this way, but it's obviously not what I mean. Were you kind of jealous? I'm just curious.
I'm not seething with jealousy.
Trying to sow discord off like out of game.
Exactly. That's not the way. That's not why I'm asking the question.
I'm gonna beat you all up in an alleyway after this. I'm so jealous.
She definitely has an entourage.
Not everything said by the actors on Moody&D is supported by Moody or Moody Radio.
You think I can't beat you all up on my own?
Love that nobody.
When she does
silence is deafening.
She doesn't have to wait for the answer. She knows the answer.
Listen, my wife is smaller and more vicious than you, so yes, I am scared of you. But yeah, like,
making a note for Katya to listen to this.
Is this something that you yourself would like to do as well?
So, dearly beloved members of the council, I didn't actually know that these vignettes were part of this arc, and therefore I did not listen to them. This whole time I've just been sitting here wondering what you guys are talking about.
That's amazing.
Hey, it's better than me.
Honest.
He didn't listen to them because he didn't have time.
You know what? That is a very Rose thing to do.
We love each other here at Moody&D.
We really
we love everybody equally.
But, give me a highlight reel. Tell me, what surprised you the most about what the other characters did based on what you already knew about their characters?
He can't answer this question.
I can't answer
he
this
doesn't
question.
know.
Wait, repeat the question. Sorry.
What surprised you the most about what the other characters did in their vignettes based on what you already knew about their characters?
I wish I could answer.
Wait, why can't you answer?
Because I didn't watch them.
Because you didn't listen to them.
Oh, I got it.
How can you do that?
Come
on,
Rich,
that's such a Rose thing to do.
No. It was a Kent thing. You didn't know.
yeah.
I knew exactly what you didn't know.
exactly what
I knew exactly what I needed to do.
Not to do it.
That's
But
fair.
I had homework.
That's fair. That's fair. Oh my gosh.
Kent's
Emphasis on, but I had homework.
Kent's like, I failed. You just didn't know.
Yes. Pretty much.
I'm crying. That's a good one.
So what was the question again? What we were?
so-
what was no. Just so that I understand it.
So
Boys.
when you listen to the other characters' vignettes,
Yes.
what's something that they did or that happened in their thing that surprised you based on what you already knew about their character?
Okay. Yep.
I know mine because I actually wrote a thought about it. For Klaus, the amount of time you took with everything.
Yeah.
You were like, I sit here for days. I sit here for hours. I sit here for months. And I just was like, I think because our story has been so go,
Yeah, it's very quick.
that to see the patience of Klaus was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, I don't even know if I describe it as patience. Like, I mean, you speak to that more for sure.
It's if we're gonna continue going with the popular references, it's a more of a what's his name? Hamilton and Burr. It's kind of more of a Burr thing where if there's something that I can get out of this, I am willing to wait. It's more of a long suffering than patience.
Yeah.
But again, Klaus had years.
Yeah.
A little bit, a couple more days, a couple more weeks, a couple more years is nothing to him.
What difference does it make when you can't really perceive time anymore?
Exactly.
Like that kind of concept. I don't
Yeah.
think. I think it was like, if I could put a guess out there, it definitely felt more like Klaus was just running through every option in his head more than it was Klaus is sitting there slowly and carefully, patiently considering. Like it was more of a just like, what are all the ways this can go wrong? And also,
What
doesn't
are all-
matter how long I take to think about it. I'm here forever.
Yeah.
It was kind of a mixture of both of those things, I
Yes,
feel.
precisely.
Yeah, kind of like a running through every single option, but weighing every single option
Yes.
as closely and as long as he needed to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for brands, which I may or may not still get into this question deeper later, the offer for Tor to go away and the decision to keep him was
Whoa.
shocking to me. Like the offer, but then I was like, why would you not? You can keep all of your like you complain about it so much. I have theories of why, just like character wise and character development. But yeah, that surprised me when I listened to it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was
That one was weird because I didn't expect that, right? Like
Yeah.
going into the vignette,
Yeah.
had no idea that that was even a possibility, but then was sitting there and thinking about it, right? And it, like for Bran, I think he complains about Tor because he's the epitome of everything that makes his life suck at times.
Yeah.
But then the thought of not having that voice in his head just felt weird. Like,
Yeah.
because he's known it for so long now. It's been a few years.
You need to see a therapist. It's just the thought of not having all of those bad thoughts
Hey,
in my
listen,
mind. It just
listen.
feels
That's
strange.
a very real thing.
Yeah.
No,
As
no,
I always
and-
tell my wife, if I'm not paranoid, we're going to die.
Well,
If I'm not paranoid, I should be.
and it's not like Tor is, a bad influence voice or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, well, he is sometimes a bad influence. but-
He's got that. I think also, if I can speak to that
Yeah,
a little
go
bit,
ahead.
like part of what Bran ultimately came to at the end of that was this idea to recognize that Tor in and of himself is not bad.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
that was because each of you
Or that chaos in and of itself is not
right,
bad.
precisely. And I think really, as much as you built the character around this law chaos dichotomy,
yeah.
really what I've seen Bran as being fighting is being out of control.
yeah, right, and that
Because-
has been Bran's major character.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's like, as we've worked through it, I've come to the conclusion, like, Bran doesn't actually have a problem with chaos. Bran has a problem with things he can't control.
Yep.
And
Right.
that's been what you're working through.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly. So it was a weird moment, but yeah, I think in the end he just was like, I don't know what I would do if Tor wasn't here. Like, even with all the powers, like, what would that? Yeah. So
Yeah, even Tor disappearing for like a week was such a weird
it
thing.
felt
right?
wrong, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that was actually really good prep for the vignette and for that
Yeah.
question of like, it was
Yeah.
weird.
For me, for Adra's, I loved Kuza at the end. Kuza being trapped under that log, and the fact that she actually reached out her hand, phenomenal, beautiful.
What?
Just listen. I'm not telling you what happened.
Listen to the
Yeah.
vignette.
I gotta go back and listen to it.
The fact that Kuza was there and just the everything coagulating into that one moment was amazing for me. And there's one other thought that just disappeared out of my mind for some reason. For Bran, I really enjoyed and this was something that was kind of a hunch of my own. The question of, is Tor just the pulled out manifestation of chaos that was within Bran's soul, right? And it was kind of a question of mine since Bran was introduced, and I was like,
Yeah.
And I don't think that is what Tor is.
No, he's the essence
Yeah.
of wild magic,
Well, I think he's
or a manifestation.
I
of the
think
essence.
what he is as the DM is I think what Tor is the byproduct of a hatred of chaos manifested through someone who had been fighting it for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, you had gotten to the point where you just so desperately wanted to be just bisected from this.
Yeah.
And so in that moment of doing something that's very ordered and smithing a hammer, all that chaos sent itself straight into that.
Yep.
And basically, like, behind the screen, wrote a slight copy of, like, it's a vague copy of you. It's
Right.
not a direct copy, but
Yeah.
it's got, like, influences
Yeah.
there
Yep.
of Bran, of those things that Bran did kind of write out of himself over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, what really surprised me was an amazing kind of mirror was Bran's and Klaus's story have a lot of very similar elements. And also, the person who killed Bran's father was a tiefling.
Yeah.
A purple tiefling.
No, a white tiefling.
No.
It was a white tiefling.
So you said red, then you said purple, then you said white. So
It was
who
white.
knows?
It was white in
white.
the original notes.
Okay, I left with purple too.
Yeah, right?
'Cause I was
Oh,
like,
sorry.
oh, interesting.
So
That
just
Klaus was purple.
yeah, just that where we see where Klaus went
Yeah.
and where Bran went,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
Mwah.
Two
Beautiful.
reactions to the destruction of their own lives.
yeah,
Yeah.
the destruction of the
And then
family.
also having representatives of that in a party so close.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And like how both handled that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one of the things I loved about the vignettes, was able to, because obviously your backstory is arc 1.
Yeah.
yeah.
But with these two, we never actually got to really unpack their backstories. And as much as you didn't like having to unpack it so fully, you know, I think it was.
No, like I loved it and
Can I
hated it
also
at the
say-
same time.
It still was very vague. Like it took me 2 listens to really get what was happening. Like comparatively to like how
That is exactly what I want.
No. So it's like making me laugh that you're like, oh, it was so obvious. And I was like, no, it wasn't. Like if you go and you listen to my vignette and his vignette and your vignette, yours is still very, because this minute
It's the
Reese starts to
difference
say something,
between
you're
Lewis
like,
and
you're like,
Tolkien.
yeah, I know. So it was like Reese would start to explain something and you're like, I got it. And so then
Yeah.
Reese would be quiet and I was like, but I don't know. Like I don't understand.
There is-
like there's a doll with a. Okay, was that yours? Was that your mother's? Was that like the guy that you killed? Did you even kill? Who was the general? Was it Klaus? Was it his dad? Was it his mom? I still don't know. I'm like, it was not clear.
And that's exactly what I want, ladies.
Nothing
and
was
gentlemen.
obvious. Nothing was
There was-
explained.
I don't know. Everything was
Roll
very
a
obvious
history
to
check.
me.
I left with more questions.
Nope.
No.
Can I roll one?
No, you're from underground. Actually,
No, I'm not.
roll,
I'm from Kaizo.
You're from
yeah,
under.
you're from underground. When it comes to the
Socially
grander world,
underground.
you're from
Oh
underground.
my gosh.
Can I have advantage?
I saw the sky.
Tides of Chaos. I have Tides of Chaos active.
Oh my gosh.
Sure,
Klaus
fine.
will
Tides of
stay a
chaos.
mystery.
Nope.
Frick.
Claire is mud.
There was a chance that one of your characters.
But
would
do
actually
write down that you use Tides of Chaos.
I will.
Yes.
So next time you cast the spell, you surge.
I got a natural 19.
Audra wouldn't know.
What the druids have told her?
No, they wouldn't know that story.
Let me just put it in my name.
yeah.
The one.
Did Kazarash, wow, so many K's.
you
Did
go.
he happen to write down one of his books that Audra then read?
That's a good one.
Good question.
No, the story is younger than Kazarash.
Even after he died?
The
Yep.
So,
Or like-
well, no. The story is quite old. Kazarash locked himself in that temple before the story was actually told for the first time. So the story...
What about the human man that came into?
Kaliar Daru?
There was a guy that came into the colony.
Kaliar Daru did not know.
Okay, I don't know. I'm trying.
He was from Dakaya, right?
Kaliar Daru was from Dakaya. He was a war hero in the overturning of the Myexel Empire.
I tried,
So,
folks.
hey, you tried.
All that to say, not clear.
Just all you have to do is just listen to all the episodes that Klaus is in, and then listen to the vignette, and everything is clear.
As mud.
All right. We only have 20 minutes left in this episode, so I'm going to move us along to the post-vignette space.
Yep.
I'm sorry we couldn't ask all the vignette questions, but we could talk about those for 4 hours, and we can't right now. So
We will one day.
do I want to talk about waking up, or do I want to talk about Klaus leaving?
Klaus leaving.
Yeah, what was up with that?
What was up
Okay.
with what?
What was up?
So hold on.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
So I'm just gonna start with, we all saw Klaus's leaving coming from a mile away. Grand musical entertaining and other artistic farewells. I want to ask everybody, what was it like? I guess more specifically for you guys, but I'm sure also for you from listening. What was it like knowing he was leaving, and again, particularly you three, but not being able to say anything until it actually happened?
Oh gosh, it was awful. It was miserable
To listen
because
to?
I wanted to metagame.
Well, he lived.
so hard. I wanted Bran to do things that Bran had no knowledge of. I wanted Bran to make a feather boa joke. Bran couldn't. It was annoying.
And
Bran wouldn't have either.
Eodas, he didn't. Because y'all would have been in
Toast.
Why are you thanking my fictional deity?
Because it was Bran who was doing it.
Now, again, Bran wouldn't have, even if Bran could have, he wouldn't have done that because it's just not Bran's character. But I wanted to, because Kent wanted to poke the bear,
Yeah.
and I couldn't, and it was annoying.
It wasn't that hard. I think in the moment, I figured if everyone else's vignettes were like mine, like there was probably some form of character development. And I also know that like the space that we have been given, it's like you can keep your character, you cannot, like you'll work to make it happen. So I was like, this is what Christian wants. Great. So for me, it was just more like how selfishly or not, I more was just trying to think through it with the vignette having just happened. How would Audra actually respond to this situation?
Yeah.
So that's what I was really trying hard to do of like, because she like, I felt like was able to forgive and like grow in a lot of areas. And so she would like
For an episode.
That is the
Yeah.
interesting thing, because even like looking back on like the episodes that we'll talk about in the next episode of Gone Rogue, I was like, man, Audra really like she made great progress. But like this is very much like a fresh believer's walk of the like fighting to keep the growth you got.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, and I think like sometimes it's, we can talk about it because I was about to, anyways. Yeah. So it was just easy in a sense of like, this is what Christian wants.
Yeah.
But like, how does my character respond without metagaming at all? And so,
Yeah, definitely.
What about you? I mean, obviously you were in control of how it went.
Was I though?
I feel that. That's real. That's real.
The entire first episode. So the sudden awakening episode.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was gonna do. I knew how I was gonna do it. I just didn't know if I was gonna do it. And for the entire first episode, I was waiting for something like a trigger to give me a reason, and nothing did. And so since nothing did, and Bran still existed as a person,
Yep.
that was the only logical conclusion that I could get to, or at least logical within the delusion of Klaus.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, because that was also a space where like, Klaus had his whole vignette and chose not to change.
Or no, he changed.
Or not to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He grew in the wrong direction.
He deepened.
Yeah.
That's a better.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a better way of putting it.
Yeah, instead of stepping up, he stepped further down.
Yeah.
can I ask what would have been the trigger to make you stay?
Oh,
Or like, did you have some ideas?
So, well, I've been
Brand
saying this
dying.
to Reese,
yeah.
and I've been saying this for a while.
We've been talking about it for a long time.
The only really, I don't think that there was anything that could have made
Yeah.
Klaus stay, because honestly, you walking up to me at the end and asking me not to leave, or like, it got this close.
Really?
It got this close. But the just there's too much that happened before,
Yeah.
and too much that got revealed during the vignette to a point where I couldn't see Klaus and Bran Klaus not attacking Bran very soon.
Yeah.
And Klaus knew he was outnumbered. He knew he couldn't do it, so so it was better to leave.
Okay.
But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. Listen to this episode was like the weirdest experience and most frustrating experience. It was like listening to like a playlist titled like emo sad boy hours, and I was just imagining like little Klaus like plucking his like little guitar, like wearing eyeliner or something, and just being
Sitting-
like no one gets me.
Sitting in the plaza surrounded
Wow.
by yeah.
And then at the end when he was leaving and they were like, he was like, it's because everyone hates me. I was like,
Yep.
literally, I rolled my eyes. I was making
Yep.
food in the kitchen. I was like, are
Yep.
you kidding me? That is the most
Yep.
emo.
Hilarious.
And then
Yep.
I was like, I also was asking myself, like, why don't they hate you? Like, low-key, like,
Because
I think if you watch the vignettes, you'll get it.
oh.
Like the vignettes, I think had a real big impact on the party's reactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
True.
100%.
Oh,
Because
Bran would have
Audra-
been much.
Yeah, I was just say Bran would have been horrible. I think, if he didn't have that.
Bran would have been much more likely to poke the bear.
Yeah.
It would have been
Whereas,
bad.
like, an Audra,
I would have been like, here, go.
yeah.
Let me pack your bag
Yeah,
for you.
right.
right. Yeah.
And grace is an incredibly powerful thing in making people forget and decide to forget things.
And also semesters of recording
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
on
And
the brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you guys all
We're gonna
started
talk about
like
the murders.
dancing and like doing stuff like that, I was just like, what is happening? It was like cute, but I was also like,
Oh, it was weird.
Huh?
There, I definitely
what's going
like.
on?
I think the episodes following the vignettes were as like liminal space fever dream as the
Oh,
vignettes
100%.
themselves.
100%.
I was like,
100%.
huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were just their own form of like what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
But I think that was very much of like the headspace of the character,
Yes.
or at least for
Yeah,
Audra, it was like
well, and
you
for
just
the-
had
for
this
the beginning
moment,
of that, yeah.
and then you wake up and like everything is gone, and there's a note from a new character,
Yep.
and then it's like,
And
what
all
is
these
going
guys
on?
that we thought were dead are alive
Yeah.
because somebody somehow rescued them.
Yeah, what
yeah.
is going on?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate Satori. I hate Satori. I hate Satori. I hate Satori. I hate Satori.
Yeah. All right. That was whose question was that?
Yours. So Profumaku.
Oh wow.
Okay, so the theme of winning and losing comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Audra thinks they lost, and Klaus says they won,
Yeah.
and several others did. So I'm curious from your personal view of that final fight with Kuza. Would you say that the group won or lost? And then do you feel like how your character responded is indicative of how you view winning and losing in your own life?
Oh, that's interesting.
That's kind of a two-parter.
Yeah. That's an
Like,
extra
do
attack
you
question.
do you agree with your character of we won or we lost, and then do you, as a person, also see life that way?
I'd like to actually hear that from the entire table, like how you
Yeah.
view it. So
Yep. Oh, we can go
let's
clockwise.
start with you because you were
Okay.
asked the question initially.
Okay. So here is the thought process I had for the character that Klaus was and the history that we had in our fights with Kuza and his minions
Yeah.
and his
Putting
body parts.
Context. Yeah.
In that context, with the limited information that we had in Klaus's mind, this was the closest we had gotten to a victory ever.
Yeah.
Obviously, waking up and not seeing the dead bodies was a big hit, but still, we knew that we had the power within the party to finish this. Introducing a new guy in Ushivuri was frustrating because that's a new power level that he couldn't calculate for, that he couldn't account for. But yeah, and with me, I don't know. It really depends. I feel like that was just as close as I would have even thought to it. Again, depends. Samira, for example, would have reacted completely differently to this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I can give you as Klaus. I was not in the situation. I don't have magical powers. I can't make fireballs I can't make magic. So I can't tell you. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Go.
Okay, cool.
I do want to hear from you as Lore.
I
Lore would think of that.
think Bran saw it as a loss, typical, chaos, that sort of thing. He was out of control, and even after the vignette, like that much out of control was way too much for Bran. I would agree, but not for the same reason. Bran was looking at it sheerly as a tactical loss, right? Like we tried to fight. We lost, and great, now the bodies are gone. Like, we don't even know who's dead. We don't know if we succeeded at anything, that sort of thing. Sorry. It's just, I love the fact that the newbie got cursed with a bad chair.
She's not a newbie anymore. She's been recording for the whole semester.
Well, fair, but still, newbie comparatively. Anyways, for me, I think it's
a rite of passage, guys. Okay?
Yeah, it is. It was a loss, but because it broke the party down. Like, if we've learned anything about Ushavuri, it's that he likes to play with people's minds, and he just wants to mess with people. And so I think
my favorite kind of people.
I think we lost more, not so much because we didn't kill any Jalek or any of them, or we did kill Jalek, but now she's back as a zombie. We didn't succeed at our task of defeating the bad guys. It's that he succeeded in breaking the party apart.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I see it as more of a loss kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Audra obviously thought it was a loss. Rachel, thought it was a loss because I realized in that, and I don't know if I could have like put a word to it before, but I very much view winning and losing as like there's a very specific goal in mind, and it's like you can change the rules, but then it's a different game, and so it's like you didn't win the original game that you were going for, and so I think I see that as a lot of life where people are like, I'm all for like seeing the positive side and like the silver lining, but I'm like, but you have to admit it's a different thing. Like it's no longer the thing that you were going for.
You've reassessed how you're going to determine victory and loss.
Right.
That changes whether it is a victory.
Right.
It's really funny listening to you guys because it's very indicative of how we even view life.
Yeah.
Very black and white, very black and white. Everything's gray.
Yeah.
What's your phrase? Life sucks and nothing makes sense?
Life sucks and nothing makes sense. People will have t-shirts.
No, we won't.
I
Not
will.
on those ones.
He's going to make the first Moody&D merch, and it's just going to be merch of his own phrases.
Sayings. Yeah.
No, just, okay.
So if Laura was in that situation, how would she have viewed victory and loss at the end of that?
The main things that Lore considers are as victory, I would say, are definitely like friendship and teamwork. So I don't really know. I mean, comparatively to the end of the thing that we just finished, like I would say it was better. Although Lore wasn't there at the time.
Yeah.
But like comparatively, just the fact that like the team is still. I mean,
well, it wasn't.
I was going to say, the band broke up, okay, guys?
Yeah.
Like Bon Jovi without Bon Jovi,
But still, the fact that, like, even just they left and all saying, like, we don't all hate you and, like, I don't know, stuff like that. I feel like she kind of would have been, like...
It's a loss, but it's a win. Like the gray space.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Gray space, let's go.
Oh man, those episodes were insanity. Remind me story-wise where we ended, because I'm
Klaus leaving.
Yeah, Klaus leaving was
Okay, good.
the end of
Okay,
that
cool.
episode.
Yeah, man, that was just such a mess for so many reasons. I think I would agree. It felt like a dream, and it was weird.
Yeah.
And just listening to all. Yeah, what was your reaction listening to everything that was going on and not being able to do anything about it? Because like we sat there for a good 25 minutes just listening to Klaus have a mental breakdown.
That is true.
That wasn't a mental breakdown.
It was a mental
It was
breakdown.
mental process.
So what was your reaction to that?
I think like in these situations, the actor in me really comes out, and I'm like, this is such good like character development, storytelling, and like I love sorry, I love it when we all can have really fun acting moments in our character. And so I felt like that, like I loved like Klaus going to every person's room and giving like his version of a goodbye and just like seeing how you, Christian, were like responding to all of it.
Yeah.
I loved it. So yeah. I was here for it.
Those are some of my favorite moments. Kelvrod 1, Kelvrod 2, Eclectic Boogaloo.
Oh, that
those are my
next
favorite
episode.
moments.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
and then wait, Eclectic Boogaloo. Oh wait,
next-
yeah, it's the next.
Yeah.
And then Kelvrod 3.
There's no
Kelvrod,
Kelvrod 3.
never
There's
happened.
1 and 2.
Oh yeah, right. The next one is the
Yeah, because the first
I
one
got
was
it.
You Got Toe.
and
Or
then,
not You Got Toe, You Got Duvray.
Duvray.
and then we went back, and then everything
Yeah.
happened. Yep.
And
yep.
then you found out that things happened.
Things happen.
Kelvrod.
Next episode on Gone Rogue,
Yeah.
we talk about things that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wait, hold on. We're not doing that now?
We
They'll
have
never
so
know.
much. Like, are we gonna put a special content? Like, so much happened in that last section. What are we covering next episode? Like 11 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're covering.
There's a lot that happened in those.
There's a
11
lot.
There is a
Yeah.
lot.
We're gonna.
We might want
We-
to popcorn it a little more.
And also,
Yeah.
there's probably like, at least in my mind, for next episode, of course, there's like 2 major events that really need to be discussed.
But let's talk about this.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Let's
Coming
finish
back to
talking about
here.
We're
this.
game planning
So-
for next.
You've asked your question?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, honestly, everything that I wanted to kind of talk about has been talked about.
Right.
I felt a little bad kind of stealing the show.
No.
No.
For that one
No.
episode.
No.
Brilliant.
You should.
Encore.
And
Where are
I
the
just
flowers.
I just want a bonus action over here. Listen, you can't blame me for being bad at improving conversations, okay? All I was in was sad boy vibes, and so I was like, everybody hates me.
Christian,
I'm
going
not
back
the
to
only
his
one
roots.
whose life was suffered.
It was going back to his high school roots as a goth.
Yeah.
Crying.
I was going back to my homeschool roots as a goth.
You
So
would be
yeah,
a homeschool goth.
yeah.
like to see you as a goth.
I never was. I was the Christian version of a goth,
Funny.
which means I didn't dress like one, but I listened to all the music.
Yeah. I am a little curious for everybody just to this was the first time where the party was actually kind of like a party as a whole, because usually when we have downtime, everybody goes and does their own stuff.
Yeah.
And this was the first time where we all had kind of one thing go on. How did you feel about that? What was your reaction also for Yuri's? How did you feel about that? And how did you also feel knowing that this was going to happen?
Well, here's the thing is I didn't exactly know it was going to happen. You had sort of waffled on me. You were like, I might do it, I might not.
Well, we literally walked, like, in between episodes, we walked down the hallway, walked into the bathroom, and
Yeah.
Reese looked at me and he was like, are you going to leave? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I was figuring it out when you all figured it out.
Okay, so
Like, yes, I saw it coming from a mile away as well, but it was very much like, okay, I guess he's going, which is why you you started seeing Duvreg clocking that a little bit, and I was
Yeah.
rolling
Yeah.
insight checks for him as well.
Yeah.
So I was like, is Duvreg gonna clock this?
I
'Cause
love
Duvreg
Duvreg being there.
I'll
Yeah.
Yeah.
Duvreg also had a vignette, so
Gone, but
like,
never forgotten.
Oh yeah.
you guys don't
Yeah.
know what that was.
I was really, I knew that would happen. I was really curious what happened.
I'll be honest. I think for me, I thought initially Klaus was gonna leave, right? Just assumed based on the fact that my vignette, Reese didn't let us listen to him right away, and based on my vignette, I'm just assuming, dude, if my vignette was this much of a mess and Klaus won't tell us anything, his must have been just, oh gosh, it must have been awful.
It was
so
hilarious when each of you ended your vignettes, and like I could see in a couple of your brains turning like, this is gonna happen to everybody else.
yeah. so I'm assuming first episode, right? What is that? I don't know the number.
First episode is
the
45.
45 is
45. I'm assuming in 45 Klaus is gone. He's out of here super fast.
48, yeah.
48, sorry. And that like he's going to book it in 2 seconds, right? And then he sticks around. And then he goes and sings some music. Sings songs and plays music. And then he goes
sing
and
music.
yeah, but it just sounded wrong. And then he goes and talks to 2 people and gets feather bows, and I'm like, is Klaus gonna stay? Is Klaus gonna reform?
Klaus didn't go get feather boas in that episode.
No, I know it's later. I wait.
Feather
That was
boas
before.
were
Feather
part
boas
of
It's
three.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
He didn't listen to the episode.
I didn't. No, sorry. Anyways, just I'm mixing up because it was both
Yeah.
Kelvrod.
He didn't
But
no.
believe in Kelvrado.
It's
he was an Orvasol.
Yep, you're right. That's what it was.
we can.
I wouldn't talk
Anyways.
to people. Audra wouldn't talk to people
Yep.
when Klaus first started playing.
Yes, that's true. No. Anyways, all that to say, I thought you weren't leaving, and then at the end you did leave,
yeah.
and I was like, oh.
That's what was going on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I forgot the question.
How did you feel with like the party coming together for the first time, really, and then being kind of torn apart immediately after?
It was fine because I think. Are you specifically referencing like Klaus's goodbye? Or are you talking
I'm
about
specifically
the fight
referencing
before?
I don't want to call it Klaus's goodbye, but like that last concert,
Okay, yeah,
Right.
yeah. I think,
because it was really the first time where the party had fun together,
yeah.
just did something together and had fun.
But I think it was the knowledge that you were trying to leave
Yes.
that made people say. Because honestly, it was one, like part of the reason why Audra stayed outside for an hour was kind of her assumption of like maybe Klaus is trying to have, like, because she saw you with the feather boas too and didn't make herself known. So she's just like, maybe Klaus is trying to have a moment. But then you kept playing. So then it was like, okay, let me see what happens if I come in. And then pretty quickly it was like, okay, this is not normal behavior. So something is going on.
Yeah.
I think otherwise she probably would have just gotten to her. Like I think it was because Klaus was leaving is what made the party stay together. And even the like, I mean, in Audra's mind of like, okay, something's going on. I want him to know that we're enjoying it. I'm
Okay.
going to get up and dance. And
Okay,
like, maybe
okay.
he'll see that like he's useful and we want him to be here.
Yeah.
So like, even those decisions were Audra trying to like show Klaus that we care for you. We care about what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Interesting.
And
Like,
so,
I think the party engaging in that level, like that element of the party finally coming together, was to get Klaus to stay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Definitely.
They came
Interesting,
together.
yeah.
They came together and united and said, "We value you and want you here." And you were like, "No."
yeah.
Nah.
Happens.
Yeah, and so I think that's really what it was. Like that moment of like that's the reason the party actually united and started having fun together, because it was like they had reframed to be like, hey, no, this can actually be fun. We want to engage and show that you are valued
Yeah.
because what you're doing is actually good now. Like you've chosen to do something good. We want to be a part of that and unite with that. And you gave them a cause that they could actually follow under. And which is hilarious because Klaus actually led the party for an hour and left.
Yep. That was kind of the plan. Just to be like, this is what this could have been. Screw you guys.
That's hilarious.
Interesting.
Fair.
I could have been your leader.
You tried
I
many times.
I was.
No.
I was.
No.
Klaus tried.
There's a reason why the party was called Klaus's Minions.
It was
No.
not ever. First name they got was the Slabs.
Slabs in the underlight.
do, 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 do.
It will never
I'm not
die.
writing that theme.
It's no. The name doesn't exist.
Do,
There's
do,
No, it
do,
does.
do, do.
Yep. So
That's a different theme.
I know.
one
do
that
you
we
have any
cannot
thoughts?
use.
If not, we can move
I
on
already
to the
gave my
last
thoughts.
question. Oh yeah.
So.
Well, okay.
Because you,
Sorry,
like, I also think this. I think your
I was
answer
still
to this.
thinking about slabs in the eye.
I do think your answer to this question will be interesting though, because you specifically created lore to combat Klaus socially.
I hate that he left right before I got out. I hate it.
When I heard
I was
Reese tell
supposed
me
to
that,
be the Klaus antithesis.
that's
The
a lot
end-
of emotions right there.
The Antitheklaus.
The end of the
Yeah.
class. When I heard
And I
him
ended up
say that,
being redundant.
when he told me that you build lore just to combat Klaus socially, I was so happy. I was so over the moon. It was such a
Did you
frick
tell
you
him
kind of
that?
thing.
After he left.
It was after he left. I did not tell him that before he left. If he had stayed, he would have found out in real time.
No,
It
the
would've been
reason
fun.
why I built lore is because it annoyed me so much to listen to these episodes, me Rose. It was so annoying that I was like, for the sake of the listeners, we got to get someone on here who can like.
Oh, trust me, people definitely listening to this hate Klaus. And
Oh,
it's-
100%.
You know what? That was the point.
Well, he is a genocidal maniac.
So, wait, is it my turn to ask a question now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, because in lieu of Klaus leaving, c'est la vie.
Gone but never
my
forgotten.
question
It's
what's
Bon
the
voyage.
worst
Bon voyage.
thing
C'est la vie is that's life.
Klaus did?
Genocide. Literally genocide.
Not killing Bran.
What do you think the worst?
Keeping the party alive.
All of the lizard folk he has killed.
Yeah, genocide.
Literal genocide.
I think we can all agree, of all the things Klaus has done, genocide is the worst.
It was
When
Kuza who
did
did
this
it.
happen?
You helped.
This
Back
was-
in the
this He was- So
between
when the
arcs 1 and
party
2.
when the party split at the end of Arc 1, Klaus went with Kuza
For 2
and
years.
killed
Oh, yeah.
half of the Tuzeret clan.
I
We
forgot
it
about
was
that.
it was an invasion. And
By 2 people.
and an army of skeletons.
You did not have that much help.
I didn't. Okay, to be just so that you guys know, I found out that happened as we were like halfway through Arc 2. I didn't know that was what Klaus did. And I was like, you know what? It fits. I'm just going to ride the waves.
I'm crying.
I'm just going to.
So
Klaus
genocide
never did
is the
anything
answer.
wrong.
Out with the old, in with the new. Goodbye, Klaus. Hello,
Because
Samira.
recent, like I was
Well-
asking Reese questions of like things that we did, but I never made sure to clarify everything that happened.
Yeah, I answered every question you asked.
He answered every question that I asked.
And you neglected to mention the genocide?
I didn't think Klaus would care.
He really did.
Fair enough. That is a fair assumption. Klaus doesn't.
And so
Maybe
yeah,
I should have said it. I did say it eventually.
yeah, it was.
Moody does not necessarily endorse the
Everything
actions or
that- yeah.
authority.
Does not necessarily.
Does not
Moody
endorse.
does not endorse genocide.
Actually, Moody's strongly against genocide. Strongly.
Yes.
So yeah, so
There's a reason we put content warnings on this. There's also a reason that not everybody at Moody likes this show.
Don't act surprised.
So yeah, so when that happened, I
You
couldn't.
didn't know people don't like us?
Does Moody&D have haters?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There are professors who say we shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
We're not naming names, but
We're
also
not throwing anybody under the bus.
But it is a reality because there are people who will know this show exists who think it shouldn't exist. It's
Yeah.
not an uncommon opinion.
No.
It's satanic
It
writing of the 1980s. I've got a whole paper on it.
Yeah.
He does. It's fascinating.
So yeah.
Anyways,
When I found out about this, I couldn't suddenly become anti-Klaus, so I had to come up. I had to.
Why
be,
not? Why
I had to
couldn't you
be the
become
person who pushed back
anti-Klaus?
against it. So
yeah,
You could have
Klaus
become
never did anything
anti-Klaus.
wrong.
never.
Never. So yeah, his biggest mistake was keeping the party alive.
And with that, we're going to close this episode.
Oh,
of God
boy,
Run.
guys.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you all for joining us. at Moody&D. We love you all. Check
We
out
love you
all of
very
our
much.
social media.
Moody does not necessarily agree with the actions of every player on the show.
Moody does not agree with what I do.
Have a good night, folks. We love you.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for joining us this week on Moody&D. You can catch our live stream on XN Radio at xnradio.cc or on the XN Radio app every Saturday at 2 p.m. CST. Or you can pop on over to our Spotify or Apple Podcasts to catch the episode the following Monday at 10 a.m. CST. Also be sure to follow our Instagram at Moody_N_D. Once again, that's the @ symbol, Moody_ the letter N_ the letter D. That's all for this week, folks. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye, friends.